I wasn't going to talk about housing today, but last Thursday, our second finance minister said something that pissed everyone off. And I mean really pissed off. Like when people say that Singapore's food is better than ours, kind of pissed off.
Kita punya culture, kita don't believe sewa sampai 20-30 tahun. This is where kita punya problem. Kita always nak rumah. Kita have to change our mindset.
In a nutshell, he believes that Malaysians need to change the way we look at housing and that young Malaysians especially should just rent a home until they're in a position to commit to this financial responsibility. That it's okay if you just want to rent forever. It's quite a sensible idea actually. Look, when times are hard, renting does seem to have an edge. I mean, no maintenance costs, no cukai pintu, no big down payments. And if you take into account how much you actually pay in terms of interest, imagine, and these are Bank Negara's figures, imagine you borrow 42,000 ringgit for 35 years at 4.65% per year with a 90% margin of financing. The total cost you'll be paying the bank is 76,616 ringgit and 40 cent. That's an extra 34,616 ringgit and 40 cent. Plus, it's 2017. We live in the sharing economy. Why be tied down to a piece of property when you can pack your bags and up to wherever your dreams take you, right? But we are not all hipsters. And judging by the angry comments we got on that video, Johari's suggestion obviously hit a nerve. It's not hard to see why. To have someone, a politician no less, who obviously doesn't share our problems, giving us advice, telling us to put that dream home on hold is angrifying. I mean, just look at home prices today. They're crazy. Last year, REDA, which represents builders, said that private developers are still building homes that most Malaysians can't afford. Almost half of the new launches were still for homes above R500,000 ringgit. This has apparently been more or less a situation for a decade, with a compounded annual growth rate of home prices jumping by almost 300 times. If you look at this chart we produced in The Edge weekly, you can see the spike, especially from 2010 onwards. Meanwhile, the Malay Mail had this example. It says in 2012, the average residential property price was 248,000 ringgit, but it shot up to 330,000 just 2 years later, according to official data. That's a price hike of about 33% in just 24 months. Can't say the same for our salaries. Last November, the Malaysian Employers Federation said that the average salary increase for both execs and non-execs this year would amount to just under 5.5%. That's just above the nominal 5% salary hike. Here's what makes it worse. That very same month, ECA International, which provides data on cost of living, salary, etc., said that because of inflation, real salary increases are actually expected to be at 2%. No wonder most of us are in debt up to our eyeballs. We are feeling so squeezed that according to Haku Hodo Institute of Life and Living ASEAN, 79% of Malaysians view ourselves as middle class, compared with 46% based on actual monthly household income. And let's not even talk about how more young graduates are unable to find jobs. So of course the housing market is slowing. Now REDA has been pinning the blame on Bank Negara. It says those stricter lending guidelines are the reason why most of us can't afford a home, and that it would help if the central bank made it easier for genuine home buyers to borrow. Well, REDA is right in a sense. An analysis of the latest housing and financial indicators by The Edge show some of these cooling measures have achieved some degree of success. If you read our cover story this week, you'll find that there is a notable slowdown in the number of borrowers with 3 or more housing loans. Our report also points out that the number of loans settled within 3 years, which is the typical construction period, is down, which indicates fewer speculative purchases. Home prices are also starting to rise at a much slower pace, while the annual growth in household debt is moderating. So it may be time to start relaxing some of the lending guidelines, make it easier for borrowers to get loans again. But just as we pointed out in our story, there's gotta be more than just easing borrowing. As Khazanah Research Institute Director Dr. Suraya Ismail told us previously,
if the price is quite high, any financing scheme that you give will beat the purpose of making it affordable.
I mean, imagine if you earned 3,500 ringgit. Getting a loan for a $500,000 ringgit home equals to a monthly repayment of about 2,200 ringgit. That, my friend, is financial suicide. Much more needs to be done by the authorities and developers. Developers, admittedly, not all, but many developers need to end their love affair with speculators, stop blaming land costs for overinflated price tags, and shift their focus to more affordable homes. And the government, instead of just advising us to rent, needs to help regulate home prices, or at least give more incentives to developers so that they adopt more efficient construction methods and build cheaper homes. They should try to increase our paychecks, encourage innovation, introducing schemes so that companies that are not developers create the need for high-skilled jobs instead of emphasizing on cost efficiency and falling back on cheap labor and forcing us to do extra work after our 9-to-5s. Help improve the jobs market, maybe hold forums to teach graduates how to craft a resume and how to land a job. Forget our mindset. The government and developers need to change theirs. Just saying.